On the eve of Star Wars Rebels Season 3, we're looking forward to the season ahead as well as looking at all of the week's top headlines, so stick with us.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Jedi Alliance.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Jedi Alliance, a celebration of the greatest saga ever told. And there's so much saga to celebrate now. We got an animated saga to talk all about. That's what today's episode is all about. But I'm one of your hosts and it's Mark Donica. John Rocha is on assignment. More on that in a second. Joining me this week, we have the returning Emma Fyffe.
Hello, excited to be here.
60% F in Fyffe.
It's true,
it's
yeah.
One of my favorite statistics.
It's Fyffe. So yeah, wow. There's three of the five letters are F.
60%
so 60% F.
That's a shirt, 60%
Yeah,
F.
60% F, yeah.
What up? And if folks aren't familiar with you, where can they find you on Twitter?
Oh, well, you can find me at my name, Emma Fyffe, EMMAFYFFE.
And we had you on for the season 2 review,
yeah.
So I felt it appropriate to bring you in for recapping.
I know, I'm very
looking forward
excited
to
to
season
be
3.
here.
Yeah, I can't believe that we're already back on season 3. And joining us for the first time, sir, the one youngster on Twitter. Right. You've recently come over from the chat room side,
yes.
to making physical appearance in the actual studio, joining us at our sister network, AfterBuzz TV, on their Strain After Show. Tell the folks who you are and where they can find you.
Hey, at One Youngster, holding it down, giving you that street geek and nerd soul. But at Twitter, you can just find me at One Youngster, which is ONEYOUNGSTA.
Michael, I love when you do the hey, it's super good. So you're joining us for the first time here on Jedi Alliance. You've been around the studio the past couple of weeks, noticed your cred, your
I try,
if you will, the Stormtrooper shirt, Star Wars paraphernalia. So I wanted to get you on as soon as we could. And if you're a little bit familiar with our show,
yes,
so
I've watched since way back. Like back in the Maud Garrett days,
like Ken and Maud.
Wow.
OG.
So I've seen a good amount of episodes.
So you're well familiar with the 5 most important Star Wars questions.
Yes, and I think that you guys might be upset with a couple of my answers.
Upset? No. Upset? No. Surprised. There was somebody who said you guys might not like it, but Luke's my favorite character. And like, what are you talking about? It's Luke, for goodness sake. So for those of you unfamiliar, we like who we like, and sometimes we don't have new guests on the show, so we don't ask these questions very often. So if you're unfamiliar, these are the 5 most important Star Wars questions that you ask just to get to know somebody's fandom. So Michael, let's get started with the first question, which is the first time you saw a Star Wars movie, and which is your favorite?
The first time I saw a Star Wars movie, I'm unfortunately not old enough to have seen them in the theaters. When I saw it, it was on like TNT or TBS, and just a cable thing, and it blew my mind.
Which one was it?
New Hope. And it just blew my mind. I was like, I don't know what this stuff is.
Do you remember how old you were?
I can't remember. I just
it
remember.
was just always there.
Yeah, because you know how TNT used to run it, or TBS used to run it all the time. Like TNT and TBS were the original Netflix. All they would play is these movies.
Well, that's how everybody memorized Back to the Future.
That's so true.
So my favorite is Return of the Jedi. That's my favorite out of all of them.
Excellent.
That's my very favorite, like far and above any of the other ones because of a specific scene between Vader and Luke. It's kind of like this coming of age scene where, he gives himself up and him and Vader are talking and he's like, I realized that you were, Anakin Skywalker. You were once my father and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, that name is long gone or whatever. And he's like, you can turn. And then Darth Vader has this scene where he's like, this silent scene, but you can feel it where he's like, it's too late for me. And it's just the emotion in that scene where it's like, you have this child who's like, I'm a man now, but I respect my father who's been gone. And then this father that's like, I failed you in so many ways, but I can't go back now. It's too late for me.
That's
and
beautiful.
then him saying that my father is truly dead is just... That scene gets me every time. I'll turn on that movie just to go to that scene and watch it. And that scene just gets me every time.
It's actually one of my favorite tropes is the villain who was a good guy who kind of like went down a dark path and eventually goes, well, there's no turning back now.
Yeah. Well, I'm here. Swords ablazing,
Yep.
guns loaded.
I'm
Let's
just
do
gonna
this.
go with it.
See, that's good. It's like I hope that was one of the answers that you think we would be mad at, because
Well, a lot of people have hate for Jedi because of what I think are some of the best cuddly and dangerous characters.
See, I think I had actually seen one of the Ewoks movies before I saw Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
so like that,
interesting.
yeah. So because I had Ewoks Battle for Endor. That's the second one, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I saw the second one before I ever saw the first one. So like I went in and I was like, oh, this is dark. This is really sad. Her entire spoilers. Her whole family gets killed in the first 10 minutes.
what an introduction to Star Wars.
I know.
Battle for Endor.
No, so I had seen A New Hope and I had seen Empire Strikes Back, and then somewhere in between there I saw Battle for Endor. And so then watching Return of the Jedi, it was just like a bonus for me that there were Ewoks in it and under way less sad circumstances.
Everybody's fine. I mean, there's a couple things where they're like poking each other, like, "Hey, you alive?" But the thing about Return of the Jedi, it's the happy ending. Even though we're on episode 7 now, but it's seemingly the happy ending, and people sometimes I think feel forced into picking Empire. It's a great, and all of the Star Wars movies are great, but you love what you love.
I think Empire. I personally think of Empire and Jedi as being two parts of the same movie. It's a direct continuation of the story.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see that too.
that's how I feel.
It's good. No. Respect. Question 2 of the 5 most important Star Wars questions. Who is your favorite character?
My favorite character, I don't know if this, well, I guess this kind of counts now because he is canon now. Thrawn.
Oh.
Okay.
Now I love Luke. I know there's my people that love Luke out there and love Han, but just something about Thrawn in the audiobook, which technically isn't canon, but it's canon in my mind.
Yeah.
Sure. Whatever
And
you
if
take.
you check out the audiobook, like
I haven't listened
Lando's
to it.
voice is so hilarious. Like the guy.
They got like a Dutch guy? Like
No,
what?
they got like the most 70s, I guess like attitude voice, kind of like
somebody trying?
exploitation, kind of trying to be, but it's like
It's like an early job for Sam Jackson. Like
It's kind of funny, but
Little did you know, Sam
Thrawn
Jackson's
is my
first Star
guy.
Wars job.
yeah. So I mean, Ahsoka said it in the season finale of Rebels. There's every legend. There's some truth to legends. There's
Yeah.
some truth to every legend.
Yeah.
So that I think sort of opened up the floodgates to fans' minds of who would be brought back, but also Thrawn. They're gonna keep some of the stuff. And considering the original writer is coming back to write a new in-canon novel,
And I think too, just based on what we've seen so far from Thrawn, like in the introduction, his introduction in the trailer, like it's very clearly like catering to fans
100%.
who've read these books.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm very excited to see if we're gonna see a scene with Vader and Thrawn together.
Ugh.
Maybe sometime in the future, maybe not season 3, but sometime maybe season 4, because we know we're getting very close to A New Hope.
Yeah.
Like timeline wise. So maybe a scene with them two, I think, would be very cool.
Well, let's talk more about that when we talk about Rebels season 3.
sorry.
But
Yes.
not to get too far ahead of ourselves, what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is in the same scene when he says, "Then my father is truly dead." It's just like, it gets you in the gut.
Punch yourself
'Cause
in the
it's like,
heart.
It's a silent scene. Well, it's not silent. There's music behind it, but it's a very quiet scene. And he's just like, "Then my father is truly dead." And then when they take him off, even Darth Vader kind of walks off and he's just like, "What have I done?" It's just like,
Damn.
it gets me, man. That scene, man. Return is that's the scene.
That scene is always usually like a pleasant surprise to me, because I know it exists and I'm a fan of it, but I'm usually so caught up with everything that's going on that by the time they get to the hallway, it's like, oh yeah, this scene, awesome.
Yeah.
Let's buckle in and then
Your
give me some
skills are
popcorn.
complete.
Yeah. You just made your own lightsaber. Yeah, Dad, I did. Idiot. What is your favorite force power?
My favorite force power is probably the I guess you could say like telekinesis, or
The manipulation of
the
objects?
manipulation of objects.
Okay.
Push, pull, pick up, choke if you need to. Even if someone's on like Google Hangouts or Skype, you can don't think because I'm not on your ship. Don't
That I
think
can't
I
get
can't
to you.
get you. Don't get smart. So yeah, I think
That's
the
messy.
kind of like telekinesis thing I've always been cool with.
Interesting. But then now, I mean, you went into force choking and you went into pushing, like you went into pushing and choking. So the final question: would you ever turn to the dark side of the force?
Not a full turn, but maybe somewhere
Going gray.
Somewhere in. Maybe this is a spoiler. If you don't read the canon novels, this could be a spoiler. If you don't care, then it's it. But it doesn't matter. But in Dark Disciple, with Quinlan Vos, kind of like, well, Quinlan does go full dark for a second.
Yes, he does.
But kind of like that. You know, Quinlan's always been that kind of like, I'm a Jedi.
He writes the line.
I do what I need to do to get the job done.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, even with Obi-Wan, to a certain degree, the whole like mind trick could be considered dark side, or I mean, because you're kind of forcing someone to say or do what you want them to do.
That's true.
Or Qui-Gon with the gambling. That's definitely
Qui-Gon is a completely different conversation. He's a middle of the road.
That's definitely some dark side when he's like,
not necessarily dark side, but his master did probably rub off on him.
I was gonna say that Qui-Gon is definitely somebody who's very much on his own side.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Credits will.
Well,
be fine.
that's a good one.
Yeah. And I don't see what these answers we wouldn't like are. This is very interesting. We got to know you very well. You're very steeped in the novelizations. Some that I'm behind on. So yeah, wonderful. Thank you again. Welcome to Jedi Alliance. So why don't we get to news from the Holonet? We don't have too many stories today because a lot of them came from Rebels, and we're going to bunch them up near the end of the show when we talk about that. But first, we got a little bit of an interview from Billy D. Williams. He was talking about, somebody asked him about Lando, about Donald Glover.
Yes.
Hey, there's talk that Donald Glover is going to play a younger version of Lando. First of all, doesn't know who Donald Glover is, which I think is a problem for any American.
I agree.
Because he's an amazing actor, genius, and he started out in web videos. So
and he's funny.
He's amazing. Weirdo
His
is
new
such
show
a good
is always funny.
Atlanta. Yeah, but check out Atlanta on FXX. But the interesting thing was he was like, no, they should leave the character alone. And then it's like, well, what if they asked you back? Well, I mean,
because he's already been back.
Yeah, he's back on Rebels.
So
he did the Lego show.
I feel like it's one of the things where he's like, it's mine. Like, it's my toy. I don't want anybody to play with it.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all love Star Wars, but Star Wars is also an IP. That is a product that Disney will make money on.
And it's sad to say, though, I really don't like saying this to any ill will, but one day you're going to be gone.
Yes.
And they're going to want to do more Lando stuff.
Yes.
So might as well start that train now.
Yeah, it's super true. And I mean, you know, you've already, I mean, we're now in the generation of, okay, we've got the original characters, you know, the characters who we were introduced to in the original trilogy are sort of in the same place that like some of the characters we saw at the beginning of the original trilogy were, because it's like, for example, we already had a different actor playing Obi-Wan, so we're just in that place where all, you know, the adult characters from the original trilogy are now older adult characters in the new films, and you know, they're now making like lesser prequels. You know, it was like we had like very early history prequels, and now we're like, here's what was happening with these characters like 10 years before we met them instead of before they were born.
Do you think he's being a little selfish with the character?
Yeah, I kind of do. I mean, I understand, but like, I feel like they always say, you know, like imitation is the greatest form of flattery, and so it's like, you know.
And at the same time, it's not like he said, and nobody drink Colt 45 anymore. Like, nobody wear capes. Oh, but if you want me to do that again, I'm all over it. No, but
yeah, because he has a cool cape. The only person who has trumped his cape game is Ben Mendelsohn in the
so far, in the new one.
In that trailer, that cape game is strong. the cape just flowing on the water when I'm just like, Go ahead, Pimp. I can't stop you.
I do have to say, though, too, if we're talking about Cape Game, Count Dooku, just because it was Christopher Lee, he had that on lock.
Yeah, very smooth.
Very good. So let's move into the digital world. We're going to be taking a look at the newest trailer for Star Wars Battlefront. Their new Death Star expansion is coming out, and they released this trailer. Let's take a look. So one of my favorite things that they have announced for this expansion is it's not just, okay, we've got some maps, we've got some characters, we've got this. The main battle mode is called Battle Station, where you start in space. You start on a spaceship, and you're carrying a transport into the Death Star, and then you move to on foot, and then you have to find R2 or a droid or R2. I'm pretty sure it's R2 every time. And then you have to get him back to the. Then you have to escape the Death Star, and escape successfully. So it's not just we're just fighting.
Right.
It's no, you got to fly all the way in there, storm your way in, and get out.
Yeah.
Right now we just saw Bosk, and now we're seeing Chewbacca, who are the two new downloadable heroes. And they announced that the two ships that they're adding are Darth Vader's TIE Advanced, which is one of my favorite ships of all time, and Luke's X-Wing. So a lot of name value, a lot of great content coming to Star Wars Battlefront. I'll be perfectly honest, it's really hard to get back into it sometimes because they're the people who haven't stopped playing it and are amazing at it and make me not want to play.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty terrible at it. Though I will say I do like Star Wars Battlefront because I'm really bad at first-person shooters, but in Star Wars Battlefront, you can make yourself third-person so you can see the back of your head, and I'm infinitely better as soon as I can see the back of my character's head.
And it's worth it for me. I love the dogfighting. Yeah. So sometimes if I get frustrated with a couple of rounds, it's like, all right, I'm going to dogfighting. And I'll just play dogfighting for a couple hours and I'll feel better. What's your experience with Battlefront?
I've never played. I've been in the room watching people play, but...
good news though.
Just the beauty of the game is just like the sound is on point. It's beautiful.
When I was reviewing the game for Hot Pepper Gaming, yes, that's kind of a plug. I had the game paused, or just I was on one of the offline modes, so nobody was attacking me. But I was on Hoth, and just noticing the felt on the gloves, just like they just put real gloves on somebody. That's a picture.
And the thing that I really like about it too is just the fact that you are getting fully immersed in these environments that you see in the films, and you feel like you're getting to just really explore them on a level that you maybe don't get to necessarily see all the details in the films, and it's like it's been digitally recreated for you, so
it's perfect.
And Bosk.
We'll talk about Bosk in a second. I just want to let you know, since we've only got one more pack left, one more downloadable pack left, which is the Rogue One pack. After that, they're bound to release a Game of the Year edition or a full edition that's full price, and you'll be able to get all of the content on one disc. So don't you worry, you still have an opportunity. So let's talk about our new heroes. We've got Chewbacca, who has like a spread shot, a multi-bolt, which splits that into even more, a mighty roar, which is sort of like a buff, where all of the NPCs or all of your extra teammates get like a speed boost, health boost, all sorts of everything to help them. And then a ground slam, which we wanted to get the power Chewie in there.
Awesome.
Bosk is one of the most overpowered characters in this game. So he's got Trandoshan Regeneration, which is his passive effect, Micro Grenade, so he can carry more than one, Predatory Instincts, which include Heat Vision, faster cooldowns on your boosts, increased damage and speed, Toxic Escape, which is if you find yourself surrounded, drop a Dioxis Grenade and you're out. So all of that is in Bosk, who everybody's like, why are you wasting time on Bosk? And why is Bosk with Chewie? You know why Bosk is with Chewie. If you don't, then you need to do some lore research. But yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. September 20th. So tomorrow, if you have the season pass, it's coming out for you. But if you don't, in 2 weeks, everybody else will get access to it. This game is just beautiful, and I hope we get something sizable in the next offering. What do you want to see in Battlefront 2?
I mean, I feel like there's a couple different directions. I mean, for me, like, obviously, I would love it if we, like, went back and incorporated, like, some of the Clone Wars stuff.
Oh, sure.
I feel like that would be really super fun. But, I mean, I also sort of acknowledge that, like, a lot of people who are, into Star Wars are more excited about movie stuff. And, like, I'm specifically talking about, like, some of the stuff, like, in the cartoon of Clone Wars. It would be really super fun to see.
Like some characters that may or may not be returning in Star Wars Rebels later this season. Which I should have asked before if we'll get to that later.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I think the prequel should get their fair share.
Yeah.
Too. There's a lot of could you tearing around the battle place as the battlefield
Right.
as General Grievous?
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
At the very least.
Yes.
Come on.
And I mean, obviously, like I would love to play a video game where I got to play as Ahsoka.
Yes.
Like, you know.
That isn't
would
just
be cool.
Disney Infinity, though. She is one of the characters that I played with
Yes.
the most
Yeah.
on
Now-
Disney Infinity.
Quick question: since I haven't played it, do they have more than just X-wings? Because one thing that I've kind of had a little issue with is that it seems like the only ships that they have wanted to bring back are X-wings and TIE fighters. But I'm like, what about the A-wing?
So
what about
there's
the B-wing?
X-wings and A-wings
Okay.
on the Rebel side, and the hero version of that is the Millennium Falcon. So you can find a pickup and become the Millennium Falcon, which is buffed, boosted, a lot of extra shields, whatever. And then on the Imperial side, it's TIE fighters and TIE interceptors, and Slave One as the ship.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So they've essentially just added a couple of extra features to the Darth Vader version and the Luke version for this one.
Oh, okay.
But it's essentially another hero ship. But yeah, I want everything. There's so much Star Wars.
There
just
is.
looks so good.
Well, and that's exactly why I feel like it's like I would love to see, you know, the Clone Wars, the characters that are, you know, like specific to the animated series, like get that like gorgeous treatment of like existing
The real life treatment.
Yeah, that real life treatment, like existing within the world that we saw on screen in the prequels, but like these characters that we've only seen as cartoons.
I agree. I totally agree. So let's move on to our next story. Alexandre Desplat out at, I hope I'm saying that name right. I'm pretty sure it's not Desplat. Out as the composer for Rogue One, who's been replaced by Michael Giacchino. It wasn't any sort of a contract dispute or anything, but the reshoots that happened earlier in the year affected the scoring schedule, so Alexander had to drop out, thus getting us Michael Giacchino, who's no slouch in his own right. But do you think getting a new composer will be what changes the tone of the film more than what the reshoots would have been?
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, music plays a huge part.
Especially in Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, like Michael Giacchino did the score for the new Star Trek films, some of them, and like
Star Trek, Pixar.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. I have a lot of like confidence in him as a composer. I mean, especially like the new Star Trek films, like that first movie, like the score is so good, like
really
that
good.
like especially in that opening scene where like there's that waltz playing and like Kirk's mother is like delivering him on board the ship, and I don't know, I really like Michael Giacchino. So
No, I do too, and I'm not saying anything against his talent. But yeah, I wonder if his style is going to change what we've already heard in the trailers, which is that sweet mix of the Imperial and the Twin Suns theme.
Right.
Or if he's going to say, well, let's try this in the execution, or if any of that's going to change, or if the music's written and he's just he's
sort
just
of
leading.
rescoring it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think, Michael?
Well, I'm actually surprised that it took this long to get Michael into the fold, because he's done so much stuff with J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
So he's like J.J. Abrams' like boy as far as like scoring
That is true.
goes. So I'm surprised it took this long. The only thing that I don't like is that I've seen a lot of people kind of trying to make this a story, like, and not saying that it's not a story, making it like, oh, there's problems.
Yeah.
There's problems with
No.
Rogue One again, and it's like, no, this is just regular scheduling stuff.
Yeah.
It's Hollywood does it
Oh,
all the time.
man, sorry, I
Because
can't-
I've
I
been
can't make
saying
it.
that all over Facebook, like, look, this is normal. It happens all the time. This is the only reason we know about it in this case is because it's Star Wars. But
That's
I
true.
think he's well qualified. I think either one of these guys would knock it out of the park. Surprised that Michael didn't get the job in the first place, but I think we'll be just fine. And like, honestly, I don't care if they finish the score on December 17th. As long as the movie is ready.
Could you
then-
imagine?
Yeah.
I just turned it in. Here it is.
And done. Well, we got to send this out to the absolute madness.
But yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be just as impeccable as we've seen in all the trailers, because the trailers are sweet.
Yeah.
It's too good. We've taken a look at them on previous episodes. Make sure to take a look. Our last story today, and we'll make this quick so we can get to Rebels. I just found it very interesting. Turner Broadcasting bought the broadcast rights for all Star Wars films. So that's all 6, as well as the sequel trilogy and Rogue One so far. And like Star Wars hasn't been on TV on I would say basic cable in a long time.
Yeah.
Because they show the prequels on Spike TV
every once in a while. Yeah.
But this is going to be on TNT starting tomorrow. We're getting Phantom Menace, Wednesday Attack of the Clones, Thursday Revenge of the Sith, Friday A New Hope, Saturday we're getting 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 all day, sort of to make up for them not airing during the week. And then on Sunday, September 25th, what a birthday present. Starting at 5:15, all 6 of the movies are going to be starting, and right after Return of the Jedi ends, they're going to show Return of the Jedi again, and then Episode 1. So it's going to be a huge all-day marathon. If you have TNT, don't have a streaming device because Force Awakens is on Netflix or Stars and it's starting to show up places.
Yeah.
Get yourself some Star Wars on TV. Do you think having TV airings will make the films feel less special?
No, because I think, you mentioned at the top of the show that they used to air on TV all the time.
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's nice to have that. I mean, especially now that you've got this new sort of generation of Star Wars fans who've been introduced to the franchise through Force Awakens. Like, this is an opportunity for parents of those kids to be like, cool, we can watch Star Wars on TV, even though we maybe don't own the Blu-rays of
the
all
definitive edition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't think it makes it less special. I think it's awesome that, because as you were saying, it's nice to start seeing it become more accessible on streaming things like Netflix and Stars, and so I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
I'm interested to see how this is going to play out with the Netflix deal that they're supposed to have with Disney, because it seems like we heard a lot about it and then it kind of went away a little bit, and now we have this, and they talk in there about the VOD. It's going to be on all of their I guess TBS or TNT's VOD platforms and stuff. So I'm like, how does that play with Netflix, and is that going to affect if they get it or not? Because I know Netflix, it was a big deal about Netflix getting all of Disney stuff, and then it kind of just disappeared.
Well, it just because people went, oh, cool, because it was also, but that starts next year.
Yeah.
So it's I think that's why it fell off. But this being a broadcast deal and then sort of being well, our streaming stuff is included, and then going, all right, whatever. It's more it's more eyes on the product.
Yeah.
More people want to go to Star Wars Land when it opens in 2018.
Sure.
More people want to buy anything. Want to get on that Battlefront.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That just means
and
more people want to buy
Star
stuff.
Wars, man, the Star Wars Land.
Yeah, dude. I'm about it. I'm gonna
The
take.
only thing is, do you want to go there when it opens?
No.
Because
yes,
it's going to be.
Yes,
it's
but
yes,
no.
you do, but then you're like, there is no way.
No,
I'm
not-
getting in
not
there.
unless
But
I-
then do you really want to wait 2 or 3 years
Well,
to go?
no, not 2 or 3
No,
years.
not 2 or 3 years. I mean,
Months.
we're very fortunate to live in Southern California, where
Yes.
it'll be crazy for a little while, and then we'll be able to kind of sneak in there when it's not quite so crazy. But I have fantasies of by that point I will be important enough that I will be invited to the opening.
We'll go with Kevin and Maria.
Perfect,
We'll get on that
yes.
short. We'll get on that short list. Thanks, Mama and Papa Bear, preemptively. So let's move on to our main topic, which is our season 3 preview of Star Wars Rebels.
Yay.
I miss that music. So I went back and watched the season finale today.
Why?
There were a couple of things that I wanted to check out and double check and make sure,
Okay.
and we'll talk about those. One was the last. Did you just watch it on TV and that's it, or have you gone back to it?
Well, I was fortunate enough that I went to the premiere
That's right, you saw it on
of
the big screen.
season 2 finale. I did. I saw it on the big
Wow.
screen with no commercial breaks.
Wow, just a little bit of a brag. Just I saw it
Yeah,
on
well,
the
I
big
was
screen.
fine. I got invited to a
What's that?
private
Let me
screening
just
by
see that.
Disney.
That's off on the shoulder.
It was on the Disney lot. There was a red carpet. It was pretty magical. No, I've watched it a few times since then. But yeah, so I saw it, and then I rewatched it right before we did the after show, and then I watched it again on the Disney XD app not too long ago.
I was flying back from Dallas that weekend because I was doing coverage for WrestleMania, so I still have it on my phone, and
That's
so every
awesome.
once in a while I'm like, oh yeah, I got 40 minutes.
sure
I'll
I'll
watch
watch
it
it.
again. When was the last time you watched it, Michael?
I actually watched it earlier this morning.
Okay,
good for you.
cool. Just
Because
like me.
sometimes I'll pop in and just watch parts of Star
Sure,
Wars.
sure.
I'm like, oh, well, let me watch this scene from
Yeah.
like episode 2, and let me watch this scene
Yeah.
from episode 5, and let me, and I'll just pop in and just watch little
Yeah.
stuff. So I watched the first part and a piece of the second part of the finale.
Okay.
Right.
So up into the part where they all line up and they have their like lightsabers like crossing against each other, and it's something that I'm
That's enough for me.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
it.
that sells it. That sells everything. But yeah, that episode, it was good. It didn't. I wish it would have ended a little different. But
We'll get to that.
Yes.
Before we get way into the conversation, let's take a look at the most recent trailer for season 3.
What started as a rebellion
How we choose to fight is just as important as what we fight for.
has become much bigger.
If we could steal a squadron's worth.
They would be key to building a strong
Team Y-Wing represent.
friends always
We got droidicas.
the
We got a sweet new Sabine hair color.
I know, that's actually my hair goal.
Yeah.
Is Sabine's new hair.
hashtag don't
Too
tell
close.
my wife.
Way too close. Right up on Hera. Way too close.
September 24th at 8:30 anywhere you can watch Disney XD.
And we got two possessions. We got both Kanan and Maul being possessed by something.
Yeah.
Which is sort of, I think, one of the most striking images from
Yeah.
the trailer.
Yes.
So you had not seen that trailer.
I had never seen that trailer.
First thoughts.
My first thoughts is let's get into this, and hopefully it's not a situation like season 2 where, remember the trailer, the mid-season trailer for season 2, where it was like all of this action, and then you're like yeah,
I know what it
yeah,
was.
let's do this, and then you're like, hey, where's that stuff that was in the trailer?
Well,
Everybody's
because so
talking.
much of like the mid-season 2 trail, like a lot of that like came from the finale. So like for example,
Yeah.
like in the mid-season season 2 trailer, you saw the crossguard lightsaber, and then that did not show up until
And you
like,
saw Vader and Ahsoka.
Yeah, exactly,
you saw a lot of
exactly.
stuff. Gosh.
So that's the only thing I'm hoping. I'm hoping that it's not a situation where the season's like here, and then boom. I hope it's like, it's like always like, up,
a gradual build. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I do feel like once you got to the mid-season, it was like boom, we're back, and then there was like a little bit of a plateau, and then a kind of quick ascension into what ended up being the season
actual
finale.
storyline.
They do
Yeah.
have space whales.
Space whale.
Love me some space whales. So let's start from the finale, and now we are several months into at least a few months, if not. Is there a given time period between season 2 and season 3?
I have
don't
not
think
been
so.
able to find
I haven't been able to
anything
find one
specific,
either.
but there definitely looks like there's been a little bit of a time jump. I mean, Ezra has a new haircut, and I don't know if it's just a new haircut makes him look significantly more mature.
And
but
Kanan has a full beard.
He
not
does,
just like
he does.
not just like patch beard, but a full
Nah,
beard.
he's got like a full-on beard, and he's got his like blind samurai helmet.
beautiful
It
blind
is, it
samurai
is.
helmet. So from there, we saw Maul getting away in Vader's TIE fighter.
Yes.
So he has one of the greatest pieces of Imperial technology
Yes.
on his side, and he's also a loon.
Oh, 100%. And I was really happy. I mean, I assumed at the end of the season, I was like, all right, Maul's coming back. But then like to immediately see him so much in all of, the promotional footage that we've gotten so far and the trailers, I'm very happy to see that he's back.
I mean, he's one of the most beloved
Oh my
characters.
God, he's so
and
great.
it also represents something that I've always been waiting to see in Star Wars, which is a 3-way fight.
Yes.
You have someone who has an axe to grind with the Empire, and he's not really the rebels' friend, but he hates them a little more. Like, he has an axe to grind with the Emperor, and I've been waiting, and even in the new trilogy, I would like to see maybe some remnants of the Empire saying, "Oh no, we're not gone, we're still here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting that
you
a little
guys
bit
are
in the
fake.
novels.
Like you guys are fake. We're the real deal.
Right.
And kind of, I would love to see a 3-way battle, which we're getting inside of Rebels. So
I was going to say, that's really interesting. So you feel like Darth Maul hates the rebels a little more than the Empire?
No, he hates
little
the
less.
Empire
Oh, a little
more.
less.
A little-
Oh, okay.
yeah, the
'Cause
Empire
I
a
was-
little more.
Okay, because I was going to be like, I feel the opposite, but I feel the same.
So I mean, like in the finale, he was like, "All right, you don't trust me, whatever. Let's get up there." And then only when it was
Yeah.
like, "All right, we're all good," and I don't need you anymore.
Yes.
Peace.
No, it's really interesting because I mean, you know, one of the things in Star Wars is that it is a very literal battle between good and evil, where the good guys wear white and the bad guys wear black. I mean, that's what we started with.
Yep.
And I think as we've gone on, we've seen more of those shades of gray start to come into effect. And I think that Maul is just like this beautiful, beautiful shade of gray where like he's totally a bad guy, but like he's so interesting and you like get his motivations.
Oh, sure. Especially when
even Ahsoka was like, we can't let this guy fight these dudes alone. It's not even fair.
Yep.
Okay. You know,
well, speaking of Ahsoka, I feel that Maul is the opposite of equal of
100%,
Ahsoka on the dark side.
Yeah, because he was sort of cast off from the Sith very much in the way that she was from the Jedi. And I
they're
mean,
both great
even
Jedi
though,
of a different shade.
Yeah, and I mean, even though with Ahsoka they were like, oh, we made a mistake. She's like, I'm done with y'all.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Doesn't matter.
That storyline
You
is the
ruined my
best
life.
storyline
so
in the animated series
good.
and I'd say of both.
So far.
The conclusion of Ahsoka's
It's
storyline
just
in Clone Wars.
because I hated Ahsoka when I first saw her. I was like, she's here to sell toys. She's here to get the kids into the series. I can't stand her. And then by the end, I was like, I felt so bad because I was like, you gotta leave.
Yeah.
You can't come back. You can't come back.
I mean, she was just this brilliant example of a character who I think you're not wrong that was introduced to be like get the kids on board. I mean, I was happy that it was get the kids on board and it's an alien and it's a girl. But
and we got another green lightsaber.
Exactly. But again, like she definitely was just one of those characters that ended up having just this really fascinating storyline, and it's so great to see like this really complex girl Jedi character.
I wouldn't mind marrying #Don't Tell My Wife.
Regardless of that, I'm really looking forward to the book when it comes out.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
And isn't Ashley?
Ashley is going to be reading it. Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
It's going to be really good.
I don't think I'm too forward in saying, and this is an opinion, but I think Ahsoka is the most important addition to the Star Wars franchise since the original 3 movies.
I agree. And I mean, it's so weird. It's really bizarre to me that, there is this character who has been such an influence on the lives of so many of the characters in the movies that we've seen on the big screen. I mean, she's interacted with basically every major character in the prequels. Yet anyone who hasn't watched Clone Wars or Rebels has no idea who she is.
Yeah,
and
that's
especially
true.
going through that fight with her and Vader, where she knocks the helmet off. And there's a great interview with Dave Filoni on StarWars.com. I highly recommend everybody reads it. But he talks about how it slowly went from James Earl Jones to a mixture
Matt Lanter.
to both them on top of each other,
and
then just Matt Lanter fading into that was so disheartening.
Yeah, no,
because she
I
started
noticed
with
that.
You'd never be him. Sees him, hears him. Crap, what do I do?
Yeah.
Man, so was there people still seem to think that Ahsoka's fate is up in the air?
Yeah, I was under. What I got from things that Dave Filoni has said is that basically her story. He's not confirming if she's dead or alive, but her story's kind of done for right now.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna. I don't think I certainly. I mean, I guess it's not 100% confirmed, but I feel like it is 100% confirmed that we will definitely not see her this season.
Anymore? Okay.
Or maybe in Rebels anymore, but she's not necessarily dead.
I
don't think she's dead.
I feel like...
I mean, I'm with you, no body, no death, and I swear you see her walking away in the end.
She's either falling or walking away, and she's walking away.
Which I kind of don't like because I feel like they wouldn't just make a decision. Like as far as like what happened. They tried to give us like the end of the Inception movie kind of thing where it's like, instead of like making a decision or ending it, you're like, oh, well, you never know what it could be.
Right.
But I feel that Vader has to kill Ahsoka and he has to kill Maul. I kind of feel like he has to do those things.
I don't think he has to kill Ahsoka. We got a hint in it in her dialogue from the scene, which is, "I'm not a Jedi anymore."
Yeah.
And we see a little bit of, we see in Vader, and you mentioned the scene from Return of the Jedi, where he's like, I'm kind of in a rock and a hard place, but if she's not a Jedi, I don't have to kill her. She's not a Jedi.
But she's still a rebel.
Is she?
And I think she was what was her name? And she was like the secret contact in the first season. So I mean, she is a rebel to a certain degree, and I think she represents a part of his past that needs to die for him to be fully Vader. And since he can't find Obi-Wan right now, and Yoda is, I guess, believed dead or something like that, now that he knows she exists and that Maul exists, I think that he sort of needs to kill them.
But
I don't think we're gonna get that.
Right.
But I think
At least not on the show.
if this wasn't like a Disney property, I think we would probably be.
I don't know,
Dude,
man.
have
Some
you
of those
seen-
Inquisitor deaths were pretty gruesome.
Well, not just those, but also Tron Uprising.
Oh,
a lot of people just die.
Trying to but they do. Disney thinks of creative ways to like cut the camera real fast or something, something
Or
like that.
they turn into bits,
Yeah.
but they still melt in front of people.
Yeah, so-
Watch Tron Uprising. Regardless, we could have an entire episode about Ahsoka. So I want to move on to your favorite character, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Do you think he can live up to the hype?
Even on Disney XD, yes. I think they can make him dangerous enough to kind of satisfy the older viewers and not too far to scare the younger, the younger demographic. But I think that he can definitely be like very like choking the rebels, like they can't get out, they're backed into a corner, they always lose, they're always locked up. Like I think they can make him a presence where the rebels don't win, but they're not being like, I guess, slaughtered. You just showed like the ship blow up, but you don't hear like the Wilhelm scream or something like that, which I love hearing. It's like, oh, there's the scream.
Yeah.
But I think they can make him in a lot of his one-on-one interactions very House of Cards-ish. But
you're talking about it being a kids network in Disney. Let's bring House of Cards into this.
What I'm saying is like, because if you're saying something and being mean, it's different than like showing it. Because in animation, it's all about just don't show it. So as long as they can reel it in from them actually showing him being like merciless and more of it just being his, I guess, attitude, then I think it'll be enough to please everybody.
Emma, do you think we'll see him lose his cool ever, or will he always be
Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Do you think we're going to see him raise his voice?
No. I think that's what's so delightful about
Good,
Thrawn.
I'm glad we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's the thing about Thrawn is like, he's so scary because he's just so like freaking sophisticated. You know what I mean?
It's like a dude that bad. Is that nice and that like sort of well put together?
Oh, it's my favorite kind of bad guy.
I don't think he'll ever go, bringing back to Michael Giacchino in Star Trek, to fire everything. I don't think we'll ever get that. But hearing him in the trailer, and this, if you want to talk about offending people, this might get under some people's skin, but it reminded me of how I felt when I first heard Heath Ledger do Joker dialogue. Just like, I'm uncomfortable. This isn't okay. Yeah. But same feeling.
Yeah, I got so like uncomfortable, but like in a really good way. You know what I mean? Like when he comes on and Lars Mikkelsen is like, in order to defeat your enemy, you must know them, and I was like, oh snap! And we also so good.
And we also it's a callback to the end of season 2.
Oh, and it's just yes, that's exactly what Ahsoka said, and
and Maul said,
and for him to just be walking around and you hear it in I believe it's in the first trailer where he's just like, war. I started the art of war. And he's just like so even keeled.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's got a rapper on in the background.
Yeah. He's just relaxing and he's just like, oh yeah, we'll take them. And it's like, it's nothing.
And the visuals so far of his art collection are just like, so unnerving.
And does anybody think, do we think death or do we think capture? Or do you think he makes it out of season 3 completely unscathed?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if
he's
he made
a long-term
it through
villain. I think he's a long-term villain. I think he stays for 2 seasons.
I could see him getting captured at the end of this season, but again, like just
on purpose?
but not even necessarily on purpose. I could see them capturing him and him just being like, whatever, it's cool. You know what I mean?
He be the Rebels version of Hannibal Lecter, where they come to him for stuff, and he's like, "Well, if you want to play a game."
Lars Mikkelsen is the brother of Mads Mikkelsen, who is Hannibal Lecter in, Hannibal. So
we got a big season coming up.
Yeah, I'm very hyped for this.
So let's talk about one of our main heroes. Let's talk about Ezra, and we have a clip that recently was brought out by Disney about how he has evolved in his usage of the Force. Let's take a look.
shiny logo.
It's beautiful. And you want to talk about mind trick.
Yeah. And this is some true control.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you want to talk about feeling uncomfortable. Hey, I want you to kill all your friends.
What are you doing?
And I mean, the music playing is also kind of reminiscent of like the Duel of the Fatesy.
Yep.
Like, we're getting a little bit of that mix like we are in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And we saw Zeb there just like, hey bro,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Like, he's like, I guess this is good because we're winning, but this is, you can do this?
Actually, speaking of Zeb, I think he'd be the first person to be like, finally, this is the sort of instinct we've been looking for. And he'll encourage it until the one thing where he'll be like, no,
You've gone too far.
That's not the little kid brother that I have.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with this.
Yeah, I agree because I mean Zeb is definitely like a take action kind of guy. So yeah, I mean I really enjoy Ezra as a main character because he does seem so sort of malleable, you know what I mean? Like, and already, you know, they're talking about like him having the Sith holocron and how it's changing him, and so yeah.
Well, the thing that I think is cool is in the Bendu trailer, he was like, an object can't change you. So pretty much saying like, this isn't changing Ezra. Ezra is changing Ezra.
Yeah.
You know, Ezra wants more power. Mm-hmm. There's been hints and stuff from like Maul, like, oh, well, if you want more power, all you got to do is.
Right.
And, you know, him feeling more power, like, yeah. And of course, he wants more power for good right now.
Sure.
And then you get down the road.
That's what they all say.
Yeah. You get like 6 months down the road and you're like, hey, I've killed like 5 people last week. like, am I good still?
Nobody's asked me how I've been.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit edgy. But I think his journey will also be a wake-up call to Kanan. And speaking again to that Filoni article, he talked about Kanan's blindness being a physical representation of how he couldn't see what was right in front of him with his team, with Harrow, with Ezra, with everything that's happening, with his Jedi training, with training Ezra. And I think both of them are on a collision course with each other for the good or for the bad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be dramatic.
Yeah.
Very, very dramatic. Do you think we should talk about the news that came out of Australia about a character returning from Clone Wars? Do you think that's a spoiler?
I don't think so. No.
No?
No.
Well, we got a confirmation that, and if you think this is a spoiler, I'm sorry, this is a casting notice.
Yeah.
Katie Sackhoff is returning as Bo-Katan from Clone Wars, and you want to talk about Maul getting involved.
Yeah.
They have some unfinished business.
They're not happy.
They ain't done.
No.
And we're seeing a lot with the Mandalorians in the season, or at least from some of the trailers already.
Yes.
So
And the little clip from Star Wars Celebration.
From the celebration as
Yeah.
well. So we've got some business to attend to.
Yeah.
And do you think that Rebels also serving as sort of a let's wrap these stories up from Clone Wars works, or do you think they should let them tell their own stories, or does it function as this is one large connected galaxy?
I think it sort of depends because I think there are some characters. I mean, obviously, like bringing in Maul, if you hadn't seen Clone Wars, you'd be like, he's alive? You know what I mean? Whereas that was established in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that is a character that people already cared about from the prequel trilogy.
Like, him returning made news. Like,
Yeah.
it was on Nerdside, so people knew. I knew about it before I started watching Clone Wars. I was
Yeah.
like, good.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I think that they've been really good at sort of sprinkling in kind of the right characters from you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
sprinkling in characters from Clone Wars characters who exist in Rebels, it makes sense for them to show up and continue their storylines. You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah.
I mean Hondo Ohnaka, I feel like I just threw in because they were like,
Hondo.
we
but
love Jim
Hondo.
Cummings.
I really do.
No, I do too.
I love
the
every
best.
time I see him. I'm like, oh, Hondo.
I was like, and he already was kind of like just a couple storylines. Like in Clone Wars, it's not like he was like really essential to the plot. You know what I mean? Like he was just kind of a fun character in Clone Wars, so it was fun to bring him back for Rebels.
Agreed.
Not to say that he didn't have any influence on the plot, but I think that he's a character who you can easily drop in anywhere and it works.
And that also means Jim Cummings can come into the studio again,
Yep.
which is great. So while we're talking a little bit about Maul, we saw it a little bit in the season finale, but we saw Maul starting to appear not necessarily just as a master, but as another father figure to Ezra. Who do you think between Maul and Kanan will Ezra listen to more as the season goes on?
It's Maul easily. This is why. He's realized that he wants power. He's already felt the strength. He's starting to feel stronger because of what Maul has told him. In his eyes, Kanan will start to become weak if he already hasn't. Notice in a lot of our scenes from the new season, do you see Ezra and Kanan together like that? Do you see them hanging right beside each other like they were in the first two seasons? Not as much.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I think Ezra is starting to look at Kanan as, okay, I've surpassed you. You know, like I've
outgrown your teachings.
Yeah, I've outgrown, you don't have anything else to tell me. And now I have this Sith holocron that is teaching me way more than what this Jedi holocron had. This didn't have anything but philosophy. And like this is teaching me how to like really win battles. And
see, it's interesting because I sort of feel a little bit like I agree with you that I think he'll listen to Maul more, but I think he'll do it under a pretense of like, no, like Kanan, I got this totally under control. I don't really believe him. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know,
until
man.
it's too late.
yeah.
He's gonna unlock that last thing, and it's like, all right, to get this last bit of knowledge, just kill everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
But I do like knowing things.
like
so sort of
knowing
as I'd like to get your final thoughts. Let's take one look at the poster that they were giving away at Celebration that features all of our landmark characters. But let's get some final thoughts on where you think season 3 is going to go, starting with Michael.
All right, season 3, you're going to have Thrawn crushing the rebels. Like, they're not going to be able to get away from him. Like, everywhere he goes. And, like, even kind of from the books where he, like, hyper jumps in real quick, crushes you, hyper jumps out, and you're like, what was that? Like, that type of stuff is going to happen. You're going to see Sabine and Hera start to have a rift with Kanan. It just seems like Kanan's not really down with the rebel cause anyway, but he was there because Hera was there. But I think we're going to see a season where people start to outgrow each other because this series has to end with everybody at least being out of commission, I'll say that.
Yep.
So, and then I think you're going to see Ezra definitely be dark side by the time we're done with this season. And I think it's going to be an issue where Kanan's going to have to come to grips with, how do I stop Ezra and Maul? I think that's where we're going.
Interesting.
I really think that's where we're going.
Emma.
I agree with you. I mean, it's obviously going to be about Thrawn sort of like choking the rebels out. I think that I do sort of see that rift growing between everybody, which is ultimately going to... Because, I mean, Ezra's big thing is always that, like, he's trying to grasp at this new family that he's made since, he lost his own family when he was so young. And so I think that is ultimate. I don't think he's going to go fully dark by the end of this season, but, I mean, he's definitely going to dance with the dark
He's
side.
going to dance with the devil in the pale moonlight. And the pale Death Star light. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But, I think Thrawn is going to end this. I mean, it's a 22-episode season, but I think he's going to end the season on top.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to know what's going on.
Yep.
But I agree. I think Kanan's is gonna start to see a rift with the group because he sees what he's going to keep chasing what he
believes
what he
in.
he missed.
Yeah.
But he's going to keep losing things and
Yeah.
keep chasing, and he'll never be quote unquote free.
Yeah.
So that's our talk on season 3. We'll talk a little bit more once the episodes start coming out. We're going to bring the Rebel Rewind back so that we have some time to talk about the episodes. We're going to do one mind probe question just to plug it. You can go to facebook.com/Jedi Alliance. Let's leave us a question and we'll discuss it. It can be fan, it can be fun, it can be lore, it can be whatever. Ask us a question and we will make it a part of the show. I wanted to continue because there's this one question that is amazing from Josh Stetz. Rogue One trailer question for you guys. There are a couple shots of a deserty/orange planet that look similar to Geonosis, one of which has the Death Star orbiting. We do see the original plans for the Death Star pop up, I believe, at the end of episode 2.
Yes.
Correct. When the Jedi are overrunning the fighting pits and Dooku is bailing. I'm sure I'll be thoroughly corrected if that's wrong. No, you're good. No. Do you think that planet in the background of those shots of the Death Star and Ben Mendelsohn could be Geonosis? And could we possibly learn, quote, what happened on Geonosis, thus potentially tying Rogue One to Rebels in some way?
I don't know if we are going to or could, but I think that would be amazing.
I want it.
Yeah, that's such a good theory.
Do we get the bugs too?
If we get some cool, actual practical bugs,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, because if we get the bugs, yes. If we don't get the bugs, no.
Or they could even just scorch the planet.
Yeah.
Just
True.
all right, we're done, and dead planet.
Yeah, that's kind of always what I thought was.
A Geonosian genocide.
Yeah.
True.
And it's also the name of a local wrestling event on Geonosis.
But I think that's a good tie-in that's great for us and that doesn't break the concentration of the casual fan. So I think that's if they were to make that happen, it's a win-win for everybody.
But I think it also further validates Geonosis and the prequels
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I think people are getting more open to it, and I think this new regime of Disney is going to be using all of the properties from the prequels in a much more intelligent way to make people go, yeah, that happened. We accept it.
Yep.
Let's keep going on with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So yes, I really love that question. We're running out of time, so we don't have time for more questions. But go to Facebook, go to MindProbe, leave us a question. We post every couple weeks the image. Please leave us a question. We'll make you a part of the show. Let's move on to our final segment, which is Duel of the Fates. Last week's question, or last episode's question, I invited my wife on, which was a dream of mine. I couldn't wait to have her on the show. We talked about love and romance in Star Wars, and so our question was, looking forward to the end of the sequel trilogy, we're going to take a look at the current love triangle. Who will Finn end up with at the end of episode 9, Rey or Poe? And surprisingly, we got a lot of varied answers. We got a lot of people saying neither. With good reason, and we got a lot of people saying, "Oh, Poe." A lot of people saying, "Oh, Rey." A lot of people saying, "I think Rey and Poe will get together." It was just a fun conversation that didn't have a talking point that I was expecting. So good on you, Star Wars fans, keeping it positive. Absolutely love it. Really quickly, who do you think? What is your opinion on the love triangle?
I mean, my hope is Poe, but my real feeling is nobody.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's already been confirmed that they've casted a love interest for him in episode 8, right?
For Finn?
Yeah.
They casted somebody to have who has really good they have really good chemistry with. So it could be
So sorry,
it could be
that was
Chewie. It could be Finn's Chewie. It could be
because I know they were casting a woman that was supposed to have so I just assumed that was going to be a love interest.
Could be a lost family member.
Yeah.
True, good point. So I'd say I think the Rey thing is gonna. I think it's gonna be one of those things where. And I said this like in a podcast before. I think it's going to be one of those things where it's like we like each other, but it's just we got this war and it's people dying. It's not going to work. And I think it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I like you, you like me, but it's just
let's accept it and move on as friends.
Yeah,
they'll be adult about it. So Amazing responses from our fans this week, and I picked 3 of my favorite, which are just a few of them. Jessica Beardsley wrote, "If there is any coupling, my only request is that it be subtle. I'd love it if they all just stayed friends. Why can't it just be a really solid friendship? I feel like friendship is undervalued, like it is the consolation prize if you don't get romance."
I like that answer,
Totally
Jessica.
agree. Jessica is a frequent contributor, and I really like that answer. Chris Miller says, "You're missing one major piece in this tawdry love puzzle, sirs."
Tawdry.
Yep. The sassy resistance medic Harder Calonia. As Finn is learning to walk again, there is one steady, reassuring person by his side. I see an English patient type scenario developing between these two. In the while, Ray gallivants around the universe. And who bursts in the door as things start to heat up in Resistance Medical? Chewbacca! There's the real love triangle that people want to see.
You know what? She's got a little something. She's got a little something.
She was a looker. Chris also posted a picture of her too, and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But my
She's
favorite
great.
answer comes from Kim Evansgard.
Yes.
Lando will swoop in and seduce all 3 of them. So thank you to everybody who gave us the answer to that. I picked the dorkiest picture of Ezra that I could find for this question, which is, will Ezra stay on the side of good or turn to the dark side by the end of Star Wars Rebels Season 3? We already kind of talked about it.
We did.
Definite, maybe, no. So we've got all 3. All 3 of the spectrum.
Yep.
Let us know what you think on Facebook. I'm going to post this tomorrow. Please follow us on Jedi Alliance on Facebook. Got through another episode. Michael, you did wonderful. It was wonderful getting a chance to get to know you. Oh, no, it was an absolute pleasure. We'll have you back on again soon. Cool. And Emma, always a ding-dang pleasure.
It's always great to be here.
When is the Rebel Show coming back on AfterBuzz?
It is coming back on the 27th of September. Yep, that Tuesday. Yeah, so the show is now airing on Saturdays on Disney XD. Our after show is going to be on Tuesdays at 6 p.m.
There you
Pacific
go.
time.
If you don't know about our sister network, AfterBuzz TV, it is a TV after show network where we cover Star Wars Rebels.
It is.
And it's a wonderful show. You got a great team on that.
We do. We have a really good team, and we always get great people from the show to come talk to us about the show.
Steve
So
Bloom,
Jim Cummings was on last season, and Steve Bloom.
They invited you to the red carpet for the finale.
They did invite me to the red carpet for the finale, which was amazing. And so we've had Taylor Gray on before, who's Ezra, and we're working on getting those people and some more to come back this coming season. So
make sure to tune in. Until then, where can the folks find you on Twitter? Let's start with Emma.
You can find me on Twitter at my name, Emma Fyffe, EMMAFYFFE. You can find me on the Star Wars Rebels After Show on our sister network, AfterBuzz TV, as well as a number of other shows. Ash vs. Evil Dead is coming back really soon, which I'm super jazzed about. And you can also find me on my Sailor Moon podcast.
Really?
Yep. Ken. Thanks, man. Ken Knapsack introduced me to people as a Star Wars / anime fan. We were at the Screen Junkies party at Comic-Con, and that was how he was introducing me to people.
Just Sailor Moon.
Yep.
Thank you.
No, actually, it is anime in general, but Sailor Moon is definitely my main fandom. So that's called Love and Justice. So if you like Sailor Moon, you should totally check that out. You can find it in the iTunes store.
Super good, Michael.
Yo, you can check me out on Twitter at OneYoungsta. That's ONEYOUNGSTA, and you can check out me at thatnerdsoul.com.
Thank you again for joining us. Thank you both. It was a wonderful conversation. I wish we had more time. But you can follow me on Twitter at Mark Donica. If you're a fan of professional wrestling, we just started a new podcast on our sister network that I'm producing. It's called X-Pac 12360. So if you're a fan of X-Pac 6, Sean Waltman, take a look at that. It's a wonderful show, and we've got a great guest lined up for this week. Make sure to tune into our Star Wars Rebels After Show on AfterBuzz. We got a lot of great animation. So many great things on AfterBuzz TV if you're a TV fan. So many great things here on the Popcorn Talk. You can follow at the Popcorn Talk. But thank you for watching and or listening to Jedi Alliance. You can visit popcorntalknetwork.com to find a nice list of all the past episodes of Jedi Alliance and links to both YouTube and iTunes. Please follow us on Twitter at Jedi_Alliance and Facebook at Jedi Alliance for all of the us-related news. This has been Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk movies. Thank you for listening, because many Bothans died to bring us this information.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.